welcome to the deep dive.
Oh.
You sent us this great YouTube video, 200 advanced English phrases and idioms for everyday conversations from J. Forrest English.
Yep, that's the one.
And we're going to, well, dive deep, just like the name says. We'll pull out the key stuff, the really useful bits to help you sound more natural when you're speaking English.
Exactly. This video, it's just packed with the kind of language you actually hear every day, stuff that, often gets missed in more formal learning.
Right.
So our mission here isn't just to list phrases. We want to give you a real feel for when you'd use them, why you'd choose one over another.
So you can actually start using them, like, right away.
That's the goal. Make it practical.
Okay, so this video really is like a toolkit, isn't it? It covers, everything from asking for help to understanding subtle differences in opinions, even describing personalities. It's a huge range.
It really is. And the core idea, I think, is moving away from those maybe slightly stiff basic phrases.
The ones everyone learns first.
Yeah, exactly. And moving into a more fluid, natural way of speaking.
Makes sense.
So let's start with something fundamental. We all need help sometimes.
Oh, definitely. So instead of just the basic, I need help, which is totally fine, by the way.
Absolutely fine.
The video gives us alternatives like, could you walk me through?
Ooh, I like that one.
Any chance you know how to?
That sounds very natural, very spoken.
Would you mind showing me how to? And the quick one, do you have a sec to help me out?
Okay, let's unpack. Could you walk me through? What's interesting there is it implies more than just needing an answer.
Yeah, it feels like you want steps, right? A process.
Exactly. It's asking for guidance, a step-by-step explanation, maybe for something a bit complex. And it's polite.
Yeah, it feels less demanding. Like, could you walk me through setting up this software?
Perfect example. Now, any chance you know how to. That's interesting, too. It softens the question.
How so?
Well, you're kind of acknowledging they might not know. It's less direct, maybe less pressure on them.
I see. It feels less imposing. Makes sense.
And then, would you mind showing me how to, the video points out the grammar here, the ing form.
Right. Would you mind showing, not would you mind show?
Exactly. It's that classic polite request structure in English, using mind plus the gerund. You're sort of asking if it bothers them.
Even though you expect them to say, no, not at all.
Pretty much. It's indirect, considerate, like you're acknowledging it might be an imposition.
The video even uses it on us, the viewers. Would you mind commenting?
Yeah, clever. And finally, do you have a sec to help me out? For second, that's clearly for...
For quick things. Tiny favors.
Spot on. Just a small bit of help, not taking up much time.
Okay, useful stuff. Now, what about the opposite? When you just don't get it, we all need to say, I don't understand.
Yep. And the video gives us, I don't get. I'm having trouble. I'm not entirely clear on, and I'm struggling to understand.
I don't get. It seems pretty common, right? More informal.
Very common, yeah. A direct swap for understand, get, is such a flexible verb.
It really is. You get the bus, get a joke, get tired.
Exactly. Now notice, I'm having trouble, and I'm struggling to understand. They use the present continuous. What does that suggest?
That it's ongoing, not just a quick moment of confusion.
Precisely. It implies a persistent difficulty, like, I'm really struggling to understand this report.
Okay. And I'm not entirely clear on. Entirely seems key there.
It is. It softens it. It suggests you understand some parts, but maybe not everything. Less blunt than just, I don't understand.
That's a good nuance to have.
Okay.
Deadlines. The bane of modern life.
Indeed. How do we say I need more time without just saying, I need more time?
The video offers, I'm not going to make the deadline. Pretty direct.
Yes. Make, meaning achieve or meet. Very clear.
Then we need to push back. That's a phrasal verb, right?
It is. Push back. What does that make you think of?
Like moving something later on a calendar. Postponing it.
Exactly that. To postpone. Then there's I'm running behind.
That feels more personal, like I am late, not just the project.
Good point. It often implies you're feeling rushed, trying to catch up.
And the last one. We need to buy some time. That's an idiom. You're not actually buying anything.
Right. It just means you need to find a way to delay things, get a bit more time, maybe stall a decision or action.
Like asking for an extension to, figure things out.
Precisely. Okay, next situation. Being overwhelmed. I'm really busy. How can we say that better?
The video suggests I'm swamped. I love that one.
It's very visual, isn't it? Like being buried in work. The video also notes the soft T sound at the end, swamped.
Yeah, those little pronunciation things help. Then the project is taking up all my time.
Take up another phrasal verb, meaning
Consuming, using, occupying your time.
all of the above, and the present continuous shows it's happening now.
Makes sense. Then my schedule is jam-packed. We're just jammed.
Right, like it's completely full, no space left, very clear imagery.
And finally, things are really hectic right now. Hectic feels a bit more intense.
Yeah, hectic implies not just busy, but maybe rushed, maybe a bit chaotic or disorganized. It's a good alternative.
Okay, let's pivot to asking for opinions instead of just what's your opinion.
Which is fine, but maybe a little formal sometimes.
Yeah. The video gives us, what's your take on this?
I like that. Take. Feels quite conversational.
Like asking for a quick reaction or summary.
Yeah, exactly. Then there's what's your perspective? Or viewpoint, or view.
Those feel a bit more considered, like asking for their overall position.
I think so too. And how do you see this? That's even broader, isn't it? Inviting interpretation.
Right. And the video reminds us about prepositions for answering, in my opinion.
From my perspective, or from my viewpoint, getting those little words right matters.
It really does. Okay, now for the tricky part. Disagreeing. Gently.
Ah, yes. Crucial skill. Instead of, that's a bad idea.
Which can be a bit harsh.
Very. We have options like, I'm not sure about that. Or even softer, I'm not too sure about that.
Why are those effective?
They express doubt without a direct confrontation. It keeps the door open for discussion, doesn't just shut the idea down.
Okay. Then there are slightly more direct, but still polite options.
Yeah. I have some concerns about that. Or reservations or doubts. These clearly signal disagreement, but in a professional, measured way.
And have you thought about, that feels very diplomatic.
It is. It suggests an alternative by framing it as a question, prompting them to consider it, rather than you saying, your idea is flawed.
Clever. And the last one, before we move forward, we need to consider.
Very professional. It pauses the process to raise a flag, framing the disagreement as part of careful consideration.
Okay, good tools for difficult conversations. Now, the flip side. Agreement. How to sound enthusiastic.
Beyond just good idea, the video suggests I can get behind that idea.
Get behind, what does that mean idiomatically?
To support it, endorse it. It's active agreement.
Nice. Then you're really onto something.
That's encouraging, right? It suggests their idea has potential, it's heading in the right direction.
Like, keep going with that thought.
Exactly. Then there's that spot on.
Meaning completely correct.
Yeah.
Absolutely right.
Yep. Very emphatic. And the simple, but very common, 100%.
Which native speakers often say really fast, like 100%.
That's the one. Those little pronunciation tweaks make a difference.
Definitely. Okay, scheduling meetings. A constant task instead of just let's meet.
We get, are you free to go over this? What does go over mean here?
Review. Discuss. Usually in some detail.
Exactly. Then the simple, when are you free? Can't go wrong with that.
True. How about, can we touch base on this soon? What's touch base?
Touch base. It usually implies a briefer check-in, a quick connection or update, not necessarily a long meeting.
Got it. Like a quick chat. Then, does Friday at 2 work for you?
Super efficient, proposing a specific time.
And this longer one, let's set aside some time to iron out the details. 2 phrases there.
Right. Set aside time means to allocate or reserve time specifically for this.
And iron out the details.
That means to resolve any remaining small issues, finalize things, smooth out the wrinkles, so to speak.
Okay. Very useful for planning. Now, how about starting tasks? Instead of just, let's
say idioms. Let's get the ball rolling.
Classic. Like starting something moving.
Precisely. And let's hit the ground running. What does that suggest?
Energy. Starting immediately and with enthusiasm, full speed.
Exactly. Then the simple, let's do it.
Can't beat that sometimes.
And variations like, let's get going, let's get moving, let's get cracking, all mean start taking action.
Get cracking sounds quite energetic too.
It does. And the fun one, it's go time.
Right. Signals the start. Okay, inevitably, sometimes we have to cancel.
Happens to the best of us. Instead of just, I can't attend.
I can't make it.
Very common.
Very common, right?
Super common. It just refers to the event or plan, flexible.
Then we get specific reasons. Sorry, I have a scheduling conflict.
Or, I'm already booked. Both mean you have a prior commitment.
How about, unfortunately, I have another commitment. How's that different?
It sounds maybe a touch more formal. Doesn't give details, just states a prior obligation.
Okay. And just, I'm not free then, or I'm not available at that time. Straightforward.
Exactly. Different levels of formality depending on who you're talking to.
Right. Let's talk about relationships, positive ones. How to say they work well together.
We could say they have a strong rapport. The video notes the silent T's rapport.
What does rapport mean exactly?
A good connection, mutual understanding, easy communication.
Okay. Then they're close-knit. Also a silent letter there.
Yep, silent T, close-knit. It emphasizes unity, strong bonds, like a tight team or family.
You could use that for a team that really clicks.
Definitely. Then the straightforward, they have a positive working relationship or supportive.
Clear enough. And they complement each other with an E.
Right. Complement with an E means they go well together. Maybe their skills balance each other out. Not complement with an E, which is praise.
Good distinction.
Yeah.
Now, the video did something interesting, using the story of Colonel Sanders.
Yes, the KFC story. A really clever way to introduce vocabulary and context.
So we got phrases like encounter setbacks and obstacles. What's the difference there?
A setback is more like a delay, something that slows you down. An obstacle is more like a barrier, something actively blocking your way.
Okay. And odd jobs.
Just miscellaneous small jobs, not a regular career path.
And the idiom, make ends meet.
Means having just enough money to survive, to pay the essential bills.
Right. Then become popular. Easy enough. The contract word, however.
A very useful adverb. And the phrasal verb stop by, meaning...
Visit someone quickly, informally, maybe on your way somewhere else.
Exactly. Then venture as a risky project, despite as a contrast preposition.
And give it another shot.
Means try again, after failing, perhaps.
Okay. In return or in exchange for reciprocity.
Yep. Then face rejection, and the phrasal verb turn someone down.
Meaning refuse their offer or request.
That's it. Then nothing short of, which emphasizes how remarkable something is. Nothing short of amazing.
Nice one. Build up for gradual development. By the way, to change the subject.
The silent H in honorary. And the story highlights themes like perseverance and self-belief.
And it mentioned a play on words, too. It really was a neat way to learn.
Definitely makes it stickier than just a list.
Okay, let's shift to greetings and small talk. The video mentions the very North American, how's it going?
Super common, almost replaces how are you sometimes.
And long time no see, for obvious situations.
Yep. And what have you been up to? A general catch-up question.
Variations like, great to see you again, instead of just nice to see you again.
And checking in mid-conversation. How's your day been so far?
Good ones.
Yeah.
Then the video circled back to preferences and opinions with more examples.
Right, like how does that sound to you? Asking for agreement or reaction.
Or are you more of a coffee person or a tea person? That structure.
Great for finding out preferences. Or would you rather walk or take the bus?
Simple comparisons.
Yeah.
And more general ones like, how do you feel about that? Or what do you think about that?
All good ways to solicit input. And for giving opinions.
Beyond just, I like it or I don't like it, we get, honestly, I think it's great.
Adding honestly, or to be honest, adds a touch of sincerity, maybe softens a negative opinion slightly. Like, to be honest, I'm not a big fan of it.
Right. And it's totally your call. What's that mean?
It means the decision is entirely up to you. I'm not going to influence it.
Okay. And I'd go with this one for expressing a choice. Plus, I get where you're coming from.
That's a great one for showing empathy or understanding, even if you don't fully agree. I understand your point of view.
Very useful. The video also covered more apologies.
Quick, casual ones like, sorry about that, or my bad.
My bad is very informal, isn't it?
Very. Then, I didn't mean to, explaining unintentional harm, and whoops, sorry for small mistakes.
And I'll make it up to you, promising to compensate.
Exactly. And for thanks, beyond just thanks.
Thanks a bunch. I really appreciate it. You're the best.
Those show more gratitude. I can't thank you enough for big favors. And the enthusiastic you rock.
Yeah, that's a good one. Okay, reacting to news. Surprises.
A whole range, from disbelief like, are you serious? Or seriously, or really?
To stronger reactions like, no way, or that's unbelievable.
Or you've got to be kidding me, and just, wow, I didn't see that coming.
The key thing the video mentioned is that tone matters, right? Depending if it's good news or bad news.
Absolutely. The same words can convey shock, delight, or dismay.
Okay, making social plans. More phrases.
Are you free tonight? Direct and simple. Do you want to hang out this weekend?
Hang out. Key informal verb for spending time together socially.
Definitely. Or let's get together this weekend, similar meaning. And how about we grab coffee or lunch or a bite?
Grab, used informally for getting food or drink together.
Yep. Then asking for help again, more options. Could you give me a hand with this?
Or can you lend me a hand? Same meaning.
Right. Do you mind helping me? Using the gerund again. Or would you mind doing me a favor?
And I could really use your help. Emphasizing the need.
And offering help too. Let me know if you need a hand. Or any help.
I'd be happy to help. Or lend you a hand.
If you need anything, just ask. Or I'm here. Supportive phrases.
And don't worry, I've got your back, meaning I'll support you.
Great idiom. Okay, saying goodbye. Lots of options.
Bye, take care.
Or just take care.
See you later, see you soon, see you tomorrow, or see you at the party.
Have a good one, or have a good day and evening. One is very versatile.
It is. Talk to you soon later tomorrow. And the video noted, drive safe, specifically for driving.
Versus safe travels for any kind of journey.
Good point.
Now, the video shifted into a very practical section.
Yeah.
Everyday vocabulary in a home setting, especially prepositions.
Right, like on the bed versus in the bed.
In the bed implies under the covers, right? Whereas on the bed is just on the surface.
And in the kitchen, in the living room, because they're enclosed spaces.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Compared to at the front door, which is a specific point. We saw between the pillows, on the patio, behind the door, under the desk, really drilling those prepositions of place.
And the difference, walking my cat versus walking with my husband. The preposition changes the relationship.
Huh, yeah. And the common question, what are you up to? Meaning, what are you doing?
With replies like, not much, just relaxing or chilling at home, hanging out at home.
Contrasting going for a walk leisure with walking to the market, purpose, transport.
Good distinction. Then we got that whole list of groceries with pronunciation help.
Yeah, plantains, beets, garlic, a clove of garlic, onions, cucumber, pepper, avocados.
Lettuce ahead of lettuce, strawberries, tomatoes, cherry tomatoes, hot sauce. Very practical list.
And daily work tasks. Check my email, provide feedback, prepare lessons, follow up with someone.
Then into the kitchen, cooking actions, put on or take off an apron.
Verbs like peel, slice, chop, dice, especially for an onion.
Need the dough silent K. And all those utensils.
Spoon, garlic press, measuring spoons, measuring cups, oven mitts, can opener.
Ladle, spatula, or flipper. Tongs, colander, or strainer. Cheese grater, cutting board. Wow.
Yeah, a lot of kitchen vocabulary. Cooking
Yep.
terms like boiling, simmering.
The phrase a loaf of bread, because you can't just say a bread. And pick up groceries, meaning get them from the store.
Distinguishing clean the kitchen, general, from clean up a specific mess.
And wipe the counters versus wipe up a spill. Subtle but important.
Using leftovers as a noun or leftover as an adjective, leftover chicken.
The verb whisk silent H. The phrasal verb mix up.
The verb flip, like flipping French toast, which is why a spatula is sometimes called a flipper.
Right. And pour syrup on pancakes.
Then the whole routine of getting ready,
Putting on or applying makeup, face cream, blow drying and styling hair,
picking out clothes, getting dressed.
then leaving the house. Go out, run an errand, do a small necessary task, head out or head to location.
Lock the door or lock up.
And stop by or swing by, again visiting quickly, taking out money from an ATM.
Ordering in a cafe. I'll get a coffee, I'll have a tea, I'll take the sandwich. All common.
And location prepositions again. In a cafe, inside versus at a cafe, general location point, on the patio surface.
That was an incredibly dense and useful section on everyday actions and vocabulary.
It really was. And finally, the video wrapped up with 25 idioms for describing personality. A fun closer.
Yeah. Like a people person, someone sociable, a go-getter, ambitious, proactive.
A smart cookie, intelligent. A social butterfly, very outgoing, flits between groups.
A couch potato, lazy, watches lots of TV, jack of all trades, good at many different things.
Master of none, sometimes implied. A straight shooter, honest and direct.
A big shot, important person, can be positive or negative arrogant.
Set in one's ways, resistant to change. A worrywart, worries excessively.
A cheapskate, stingy with money. A cold fish, unemotional, unfriendly.
A backseat driver, literally in a car, or figuratively, someone who criticizes how others do things.
A busybody interferes in others' affairs. A wet blanket spoils others' fun.
A loose cannon, unpredictable, potentially dangerous. A bull in a china shop, clumsy, tactless.
A dark horse, someone who unexpectedly succeeds. A lone wolf prefers to be alone.
A know-it-all thinks they know everything, often annoyingly. A creature of habit likes routine.
A breath of fresh air. Someone new and different, positive. A stickler for the rules, insists on rules being followed precisely.
A class clown, always making jokes. And a tough nut to crack, difficult to understand or get to know.
Whew. And the video showed using them like he's a go-getter or she acts like a bull in a china shop.
Exactly. Structure matters there.
Well, we certainly covered a huge amount of ground there. A real deep dive into that video's content on everyday English.
Absolutely. Hopefully you, the listener, now feel a bit more equipped with phrases that go beyond the basics.
Yeah, the goal is helping you sound more natural, more like the English you hear around you, and also understand those nuances when others use them.
It's about adding those layers to your communication toolkit.
So here's a thought to leave you with. As you go through your week, maybe listen out for some of these phrases. Which ones do you hear? Which personality idioms describe people you know?
And maybe think about trying one or two new ones yourself. Am I just adding one phrase? Like, could you walk me through that instead of just help me change how your conversation goes?
Something to consider. Thanks for joining us on The Deep Dive.
Take care.
You ever feel like you're trying to sip from a fire hose of information?
Oh, definitely.
You want to get your head around something, but there are just endless articles, videos, opinions. It's overwhelming.
Yeah, totally swamped.
Well, consider this your trusty pump. Welcome to The Deep Dive, where we sift through that information overload.
And we try to pull out the really key stuff you need.
Delivered in a way that hopefully values your time and maybe offers a few genuine insights.
And today we're diving into everyday English communication, trying to give it a real boost.
Think of it like finding those little tweaks, right? To make conversations run smoother.
Exactly. Sound more natural.
And our source for this, a fantastic YouTube lesson from J. Forrest English, their video. 221 advanced English phrases and idioms for everyday conversations.
And wow, the amount of content is, well, it's a lot. 221 phrases.
Plus, like, over 50 travel terms, another 50 plus for medical stuff, and over 40 for politics.
Yeah, trying to digest all that alone. Good luck.
Yeah, exactly. That's where we come in.
Our mission today is to pull out the most practical, the most useful bits from this treasure trove.
We'll be your guides, pointing out those key phrases and words to help you connect better.
And, sound more like a native speaker in different situations.
So if you're someone who wants to learn quickly, thoroughly, but without feeling buried,
You're in the right place.
we're aiming for clarity and engaging chat, and hopefully a few things that'll really stick. Okay,
Sounds good. Let's dive in.
let's start with some really useful everyday phrases. First one, sound good.
Okay, yeah, you hear this constantly. It's a quick, informal way to check for agreement.
It feels less demanding than, do you agree?
Totally. More collaborative, like, is this okay with you?
So if I said, maybe we aim for a Tuesday meeting, the natural check would be,
They sound good, with that little upward flick at the end. The question intonation.
got it. And the reply, the natural one.
Usually just, sounds good. Notice the buzz, it's short for, that sounds good to me.
So the grammar still fits. It's those little things, isn't it?
It really is. Those subtle habits mark fluency.
Absolutely. Adds polish. Okay, another one you hear all the time. Will do.
Yeah, this is your go-to for a quick confirmation. Like, yep, I'll handle that task.
So instead of saying the full, I will do it,
Right. Which is fine, but will do is just more common, more streamlined in everyday chat.
feels efficient, proactive.
Exactly, like a verbal nod.
Okay, greetings. Instead of the standard, how are you? What's a good alternative?
How's it going? Very common, very relaxed, works in most general situations.
And the replies are pretty casual too.
Yeah, like it's going good, it's going great, maybe even amazing or awesome. Gives off a positive vibe.
Keeps it light. Okay, now, if you need to check on something's status, a project, a deadline, even a person,
You'd use what's going on with, super versatile.
like what's going on with the presentation?
Exactly. Or what's going on with Mark? Seemed a bit down. Lets you ask for an update without being too nosy.
Useful, especially at work. Okay, next phrase. Essential for staying informed. Keep me in the loop.
A polite, direct request for updates?
So if we're waiting on data, I might say, great, keep me in the loop on the delivery.
Perfect. And the typical confirmation you'll hear back.
Let me guess. Will do.
You got it. See? They often pair up nicely.
They do. Okay, another one, especially for emails. Just following up.
Ah, yes. This is like a gentle nudge, isn't it?
Right. When you're waiting for a reply or an update.
Yeah, like just following up on our budget chat, had a chance to look. It's polite prompting.
Exactly. Keeps things moving without being pushy. Now, urgency, or lack of it. First, the classic ASP.
Right, as soon as possible. Pronounced ASAP
Or just ASE.
Yep. Either way, use it in requests. Need that draft ASAP, or confirming I'll get it to you ASAP.
Yeah.
Clearly signals speed is needed.
Okay. And the opposite, when speed isn't the issue.
That's no rush. Nice, considerate way to say it's not urgent.
So if someone offers to send something later and it's fine.
You'd say, thanks, no rush at all. Manages expectations.
Good one.
Right.
Now, apologies or minor oops moments.
No worries. Fantastic all-rounder. Means it's not a problem, I'm not bothered.
Like if someone spills a bit of coffee.
No worries. Colleague's a bit late with info. No worries. Relaxed. Forgiving.
Super versatile.
Ah.
Okay, 2 short ones for reacting to news. Really? And good to know.
Right. Really is for surprise. Your tone is key here. Needs to sound genuinely surprised or questioning.
And good to know.
That's acknowledging info positively, like, oh, that's helpful, or thanks for telling me.
Makes sense. Conveys your reaction quickly. Now, giving someone a friendly warning?
Heads up. That's the one. Informal advance notice.
Like, heads up, the boss is coming around.
Exactly. You might hear just a heads up, too. The just, oh, softens it a tiny bit, but it's optional.
Got it. A friendly flag. And when you're behind schedule.
I'm running late. Simple, natural, direct. Everyone understands it.
Okay. Now, instead of just, what are you doing today? A more engaged way.
Try, what do you have on the go today? It's common. Sounds more interested in their actual activities.
I like that. Sounds more involved. Okay, suggesting a casual meetup to reconnect.
Let's catch up. Perfect informal phrase for that.
Like in a text, let's catch up soon.
Exactly. Low pressure, friendly. Shows you want to reconnect when you both have time.
Nice. Now, asking specifically about availability on a certain day.
Are you free on day? Like, are you free on Friday? Direct, clear.
Simple. And this next one seems to do double duty. Are you good to activity?
Yeah, it can mean, are you available? But also, do you feel capable or ready?
So, are you good to lead the client call? Could mean both.
Pretty much, yeah. And a great, confident reply confirming both availability and readiness.
What's that?
I'm good to go.
Love that. Ready and willing. Okay, finally for this section, one you use sometimes with listeners, you rock.
Yeah, it's just informal, enthusiastic praise, appreciation.
And it's a verb, right? Not you are rock.
Exactly. You rock. And you can change the tense. You totally rocked that presentation.
Excellent. Okay, great everyday phrases. Now, the verb get. Wow.
Oh, boy. Yeah, the video had over 40 phrases with get.
We can't cover all of them, obviously, but let's hit some key examples to show its flexibility.
That's good. Let's start with get ahead, means make progress.
Usually career or school.
Yeah. To get ahead, you need initiative, then get along with. Having a good relationship.
Often used in the negative, I feel like.
You hear that a lot. I don't really get along with my roommate.
Right. Okay, escaping a situation.
That's get away. Could be physically escaping, the thief tried to get away, or escaping daily stress, need to get away for the weekend.
But that's different from get away with something, isn't it?
Huge difference. Get away with means avoid punishment for doing wrong.
Like, he got away with speeding, just got a warning.
Exactly. Related is get off lightly, punish less than expected. She got off lightly with just a fine.
Okay, nuances are key here. Returning to a place.
That's get back, need to get back home. But get back to someone.
Means respond later, right?
Yep, I'll get back to you tomorrow with those figures. And restarting something after a break.
Get back into it. Trying to get back into running. Now a less friendly one. Get back at someone.
Uh-huh. That's seeking revenge. He wants to get back at his rival.
Okay. More positively, supporting someone or something.
Get behind them. We really get behind this charity.
And just managing financially.
To get by. Many families are just getting by right now. Okay, landing yourself in trouble.
Get into trouble. Doing something wrong or ending up in a bad spot.
Yeah, the kids got into trouble for staying out late. Now transport, get on versus get in.
And get off versus get out.
Right. Generally, you get on bigger transport. Planes, trains, buses, boats.
And you get off those same ones.
Exactly. For smaller things like cars, vans, trucks, you get in.
And get out. Okay. What about buildings?
You also get in a room or office. What time did you get in? And get out of a room. But wait, get off can also mean...
Finishing work. What time do you get off work?
You got it. Lots of meanings. Now disbelief.
Oh, like get out or get out of here.
Yep. Informal surprise. And get out of doing something.
Avoiding something unpleasant. Tried to get out of that meeting.
We've all been there. Okay, organizing socially.
Hey, get together. Let's get together for coffee.
Perfect. And morning routines. Get up means...
Leaving bed, usually. After waking up.
Right. But get up to is different.
Like asking, what did you get up to last night?
Yeah.
Meaning, what did you do?
Exactly. Though get up to no good implies mischief.
Okay. Communication. Get across.
Means successfully communicate an idea. Did my point get across?
And if you don't understand someone...
You might ask, what are you getting at? Meaning, what are you trying to say?
Get at can also mean physically reach something, though, right?
Yeah, context is everything. Can you get at that box on the top shelf?
Okay. Decluttering. Getting rid of stuff.
You get rid of it. Throw it away. And strong emotions. Getting angry.
To get wound up about something.
Right. And the advice you might give, get over it.
Can sound a bit harsh, but means stop dwelling on it.
Yeah. Or you can get over a romantic partner or get over an illness, meaning recover.
Okay, almost there. Traveling within an area.
To get around. How do you get around the city and finally doing something you've put off?
Get around to it. Finally got around to cleaning the garage. Whew.
That was a workout. So many get phrases.
Any final tips on mastering these?
Honestly, don't try to memorize them all at once. Focus on the core, meaning how the little words change it.
Like the prepositions and adverbs?
Exactly. And listen for them. Pay attention to how native speakers use them. Practice in context.
Great advice. Okay, let's shift gears. Let's sprinkle in some common English idioms. The video had 20.
Yeah, those colorful expressions that don't always mean what they literally say.
Exactly. Let's add some flair. First one. Someone's about to perform or do something stressful.
You tell them, break a leg.
Sounds awful, but it means...
Good luck. Especially for stage performances, but also exams, interviews, big presentations, weird origin, but common.
Funny how that works. Okay, revealing a secret by accident.
That's spill the beans. Who spilled the beans about the surprise party? Paints the picture, doesn't it?
It does. Okay, time for sleep.
You hit the hay or hit the sack. Both mean go to bed. Informal.
And facing something difficult with courage.
You bite the bullet. Had to bite the bullet and tell the boss the bad news. Suggests stoicism.
Hopefully after that, you hit the jackpot.
Wouldn't that be nice? Yeah, it means have great success or gain, often unexpectedly, like winning the lottery.
Okay, getting someone's attention non-verbally.
You catch someone's eye. Tried to catch the waiter's eye.
And describing a problem perfectly.
You hit the nail on the head. Your analysis hit the nail on the head means you got it exactly right.
Something to avoid doing. Burn bridges.
Definitely. Means damaging relationships, maybe permanently. Don't burn bridges with old employers.
Good advice, following a popular trend.
You jump on the bandwagon. Everyone's buying that phone, so I jumped on the bandwagon.
And if you're facing the same challenges as someone else?
You're in the same boat. We're all in the same boat with these deadlines. Shared struggle.
Okay. Perfectly clean and tidy.
And span. Her house is always in span.
Yeah.
And really expensive.
Might cost an arm and a leg.
Or cost a pretty penny. Both mean very expensive.
The opposite. Super cheap.
Dirt cheap. And a fake product. An imitation.
That's a knockoff.
Right. Okay, leaving a place or starting a trip.
You hit the road? Okay, time to hit the road and physical effort.
You break a sweat. Or, sarcastically, didn't break a sweat means it was easy.
Feeling a bit sick.
You're under the weather.
And stopping work for the day or night.
You call it a day or call it a night. Right, let's call it a day here.
Fantastic. That's a great taste of idioms. Now, let's pretend we're traveling. North America specifically. The video had 50-plus travel phrases.
Yeah, super practical stuff. Let's cover some key ones, starting with greetings.
K6.
Hello is always safe and polite. Hi there is a bit more casual.
And time of day.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. But remember, good night is usually for saying goodbye when someone's going to bed.
Important distinction. Can you just say morning?
Oh yeah, very common informally. Just morning. But not usually afternoon or evening. Strange but true.
Okay. Stating your reason for being somewhere or making a request.
If you have a restaurant booking. Hello, reservation under Smith for 7 at a ferry. Excuse me, when's the next ferry to the island? In a store. Excuse me, do you carry batteries?
That, excuse me, seems vital for starting things off politely.
Absolutely. It's the standard way to get attention politely in North America. Pardon me, is less common for starting, more for, I didn't hear you.
Good clarification. So what if you don't understand someone?
Several options. Pardon me. Or, excuse me, with a questioning tone. Or, sorry, I didn't catch that.
Is it okay to mention you're a learner?
Totally fine, even helpful. Sorry, English isn't my first language.
Or ask them to slow down. Can you repeat that slower, please?
What if it's a specific word? Sorry, what does word mean? Or can you explain it differently? Can you give me more info? Help me understand. Just be direct and polite. Sorry, I don't understand. It's okay too.
Very practical. Okay, shopping. Need to buy something.
Asking the price. How much is this? One item. Or how much are these? Multiple.
And after paying, the bag question.
Cashier will likely ask, need a bag? Or do you need a bag? Remember, you often pay for bags now.
Right, paper or reusable, so you might need to say,
Can I have a bag, please? Or even, I need to buy a bag, please. Please usually goes at the end.
got it. Receipts?
They'll ask, need a receipt? Or want a receipt? Reply, no thanks, or yes, please. You might also get asked about donations or memberships. No thanks is fine.
What if you're just looking?
I'm just looking, or I'm just browsing. If you are looking for something, I'm looking for item, or where can I find item?
Clothes shopping. Trying things on.
Where can I try this on? Or where are the fitting rooms or changing rooms? And always good to ask, what's your return policy?
Essential shopping phrases. Okay, dining out. Arriving.
Hi, table for two, please. Or if you booked, we have a reservation under Jones. To book, can we reserve a table for 4 on Saturday at 8?
Seating preferences.
Any tables outside. On the patio, can we sit by the window? Any booths available?
Dietary needs are crucial.
Absolutely. State it clearly. I'm allergic to nuts. Or ask for changes. Can you make that vegetarian? Gluten-free?
Ordering the food.
I'll have the chicken, please, or I'd like the soup, please. I'll have is maybe slightly more common now, quite casual.
Modifying the order. No onions, extra sauce.
Dish, but no onions, please. Or hold the onions. Can you add extra cheese? Make it extra spicy. Sauce on the side.
Asking for water.
Can we get some water, please? Specify tap water or house water if you don't want bottled.
Good tip. Finding the restrooms. Asking for the bill.
Where are the bathrooms? Or restrooms? Both work. Finish eating. Can I get a to-go box? Or can you wrap this up for the bill? Check, please. Or bill, please. Or can we get the check bill? Or just where do I pay?
And tipping.
Right, remember, tipping is standard, usually 10-20% before tax, depending on service. It's not always added automatically.
Wi-Fi.
Do you have Wi-Fi? Is there Wi-Fi? Then what's the password? If you need help, can you put it in for me? Or write it down? Or repeat that slowly?
Excellent. Covers so many dining situations. Getting around, even with GPS.
Still good to know a few phrases, yeah. Asking directions. Excuse me, how do I get to the museum? Or which way is Main Street?
Public transport.
Excuse me, does this bus go to downtown? Or which train goes to the airport?
And the classic tourist request. Taking a photo.
Excuse me, do you mind taking our photo? Or could you take our picture, please?
Perfect. Any final travel tips for North America?
Just relax. It's diverse. People are used to non-native speakers. Don't worry too much about mistakes. Most people are friendly and will try to understand.
Great reassurance. Okay, shifting topics again. Medical vocabulary. Something we all need sometimes. Over 50 expressions here. Let's start with patients and settings.
Okay. A patient is anyone getting care. Stay overnight in a hospital. You're an inpatient.
Might be in a regular ward or if it's serious.
The ICU, intensive care unit. Most care is outpatient, though. Visits, clinics, no overnight stay.
Includes the doctor's office or the ER.
Exactly. ER, emergency room for urgent stuff.
Got it. Medical professionals. Lots of types.
Right. Doctor or physician is general. Your main family doctor is a GP, general practitioner.
Does surgery.
That's a surgeon. Then loads of specialists, cardiologist for heart, dermatologist for skin.
Pediatrician for kids.
Yep, they're the ones with the lollipops, the suckers. Optometrist for eyes, dentist for teeth, OBGYN for women's health.
Anesthesiologist puts you under for surgery. Radiologist reads x-rays.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Psychiatrist for mental health, ENT for ear, nose, throat. And crucial, nurses, like RNs, registered nurses, and NPs, nurse practitioners.
Quite the team. What about routine visits?
A routine checkup with your GP. They check vital signs, temperature, heart rate, blood pressure.
And if you need more specialized care?
They give you a referral to a specialist.
Okay, now you're feeling unwell. What do you tell the doctor?
Your symptoms, how you feel. back pain, sore arm, numb feet, blurry vision, feeling nauseous.
To figure out the cause.
They might order diagnostic tests, MRI, X-ray, CT scan.
And based on the results?
They give a diagnosis, what they think the condition is, then discuss treatment options.
Might involve medication.
Yeah, they write a prescription, you take it to the pharmacy.
And the pharmacist does what?
They fill the prescription, give you the medicine, explain the dosage, how much, how often, and potential side effects.
And usually you schedule a
follow-up appointment to check progress.
That's a really clear rundown of essential medical terms. Okay, final section. Politics. Over 40 phrases here. Let's navigate this carefully, just focusing on definitions and usage.
Absolutely. Let's start with non-party related terms. Non-partisan means not tied to any party. Neutral.
And the opposite.
Partisan. Strongly supporting one party or ideology. Bipartisan means involving two major parties.
You sometimes hear tripartisan.
Yeah, or quadripartisan for 3 or 4 parties, but they're less common. Politics is the noun government activities, or the study of it. Political is the adjective.
And the person involved.
A politician, especially an elected one.
Okay. Voters in elections.
Voters in an area form a constituency. An individual voter is a constituent. People vote in an election. They vote for a candidate.
Someone wanted to get elected.
They run for office. They're a candidate for that position, and they're campaigning.
Winning the election.
They won the election. Could be a landslide victory, huge win, or a clear margin, clear-cut victory. Sometimes an underdog victory or upset if unexpected.
Losing.
Also called an upset if they were favored. Or a narrow defeat, close call, or a crushing defeat if it was a big loss.
Okay. Some less common but important actions. Impeachment.
Right. To impeach, verb, is to formally accuse a public official of serious wrongdoing. Impeachment is the noun.
The video mentioned 3 U.S. presidents were impeached.
Yes. Andrew Johnson, Bill Clinton, Donald Trump. But crucially, none were actually removed from office by the Senate through that process.
So being removed from office or forced to leave position is like the political version of fired.
Essentially, yes. But if they leave voluntarily...
They step down, resigned, or quit, like Nixon.
Exactly. The person currently holding the office, that's the incumbent.
Trying to influence politicians.
That's to lobby, verb. The person doing it is a lobbyist. The activity or group can also be called a lobby. Adjective, noun.
And that delaying tactic in some legislatures. Long speeches.
A filibuster can be a noun or a verb, used to delay or block votes, famously in the U.S. Senate.
Fascinating. Good to have clear definitions for those terms we hear in the news. Well, we have covered a lot of ground in this deep dive.
We really have, from those everyday phrases through all the get variations, idioms, travel, medical, and now political vocabulary.
And for you, our listener, the learner, we really hope this has been a useful shortcut, a focused way to grab key phrases and ideas.
Yeah, hopefully helping you sound more fluent, more natural in all sorts of English conversations without that feeling of being totally overwhelmed.
So here's a final thought to mull over. Start listening more consciously to the English around you.
Yeah, actively try to spot some of these phrases in conversations you hear, movies, other podcasts.
And maybe even challenge yourself. Try using 1 or 2 in your own chats. Notice how native speakers use them.
That active engagement really is key, isn't it? It deepens understanding, boosts fluency.
And ultimately, it can give you a much richer appreciation for the nuances of English and, the cultures that use it.
You know that feeling when you hear native English speakers and they use these words, phrases? You kind of get them, but you wish you could just use them yourself, naturally.
Like unlocking another level.
Exactly, without, drowning in grammar books. Well, that's basically what we're digging into today.
Yeah, and it's interesting, isn't it? Moving past basic English, it's not just about cramming more words in, it's the feel, the nuances, how things fit.
Intuition, right.
Precisely. That intuitive grasp.
Okay, so our roadmap for this journey comes from this really great YouTube English lesson. It's packed with more advanced vocabulary, but for everyday situations. And what I loved, it uses stories.
Stories are perfect for learning.
Right, little snapshots of life with clear explanations, loads of examples. It really helps the words stick, I think.
Oh, absolutely. Embedding vocabulary in a narrative. It gives it context, makes it memorable, way better than just a list of definitions.
So here's the mission for you listening. Join us. Let's sift through these stories, pull out the really useful, interesting stuff, words, phrases, idioms. The goal is to give you language that boosts your fluency, makes your English sound, well, more natural.
Get ready for those aha moments.
We're going to connect some dots. We'll look at the vocab and the stories, see how it actually works.
And that context is just crucial. You pick up on the subtle meanings, the connotations that, a dictionary might just gloss over.
Okay, let's dive in. Story number 1, it's about poor Bob and his rough day at work. The lesson calls it Bob's Misadventures at Work. Even that title, Misadventures, it signals something, doesn't it?
It does. A misadventure. Bad luck, sure. Maybe with a hint of things going wrong due to, well, an unfortunate experience or plan. It's not just a simple accident.
Like a trip that goes sideways.
Exactly. Something starts okay, then veers off track.
Right. So Bob's day starts okay. He landed a job. Now, got a job is fine, but landed feels a bit stronger, yeah.
It does. Landed often implies you succeeded in getting something good, maybe something you worked for, or there's competition. It has a slightly more positive, active feel than just got.
And he was thrilled about it, which the lesson points out is like super happy. And then we get this great list. Ecstatic, over the moon, beyond happy, even jumping for joy. It's a whole spectrum.
It really is. And you choose based on, well, just how happy and maybe the situation. Ecstatic or over the moon feel really exuberant, almost bursting with joy.
Right, like you won the lottery.
Kind of.
Yeah.
Beyond happy is a solid intensifier. Jumping for joy is, well, very physical, very visual.
And there's that handy sentence structure. I was thrilled when I landed the job. Simple, effective, but it's Bob's story, so things go south. That tiny word but signals the shift.
The classic contrast marker.
And what a shift. His first day was a disaster.
Woof. Yeah, and the lesson doubles down on that with synonyms. Catastrophe, debacle, train wreck, nightmare.
Train wreck? That's vivid.
Isn't it? It paints a picture of complete chaos, total failure, really strong imagery.
And the trigger for this disaster. He spilled coffee.
Right.
On the boss's desk. Now, spilled, it's a verb here, but the lesson notes it can be a noun, a spill, or an adjective, spilled coffee, versatile word.
Very. And recognizing that flexibility, how a word can change roles, that's super useful for expressing yourself more dynamically.
So the boss's reaction, not pleased. A stern look. Stern meaning serious, strict.
Firm, yeah. Serious, maybe a bit disapproving. You can just picture that intense, unsmiling expression. The lesson also slips in a reminder about pronouns and possessives, like getting his and her right.
Always a good refresher, even for native speakers sometimes.
True. Those little things matter for clarity.
So Bob, feeling bad, was determined to make up for it. Great phrase, make up for it, like to fix a mistake, compensate.
Right, rectify the situation. And there's that slight variation, make it up to someone.
Yeah, what's the difference there? Make up for it versus make it up to you.
Good question. Make up for it feels more focused on fixing the problem or the negative outcome. Make it up to you is more personal, directed at the person affected. It's about restoring goodwill with that specific person.
Got it. But poor Bob, he then dropped the ball. Another fantastic idiom means making a mistake by, like, not doing something you were supposed to do, right?
Exactly. Failing to act responsibly. The lessons example for getting a reservation makes it clear. It probably comes from sports, fumbling a catch.
Makes sense. Letting something important slip. But hey, he didn't throw in the towel.
No. Another great idiom pair. Throw in the towel means give up, quit.
Like in boxing.
Yeah, exactly. And the lesson contrasts it nicely with stick with something, keep going even when it's tough. Useful contrast.
It is. Shows perseverance versus, well, giving up. So Bob, not giving up, volunteered to give a presentation. We see volunteer as a verb offering to do extra stuff, often unpaid at work.
And it can be a noun, too, the person doing the volunteering. Seeing both forms helps build flexibility.
Right. He was hoping for a fresh start. We all know that feeling, right? A chance to begin again, clean slate, New Year's, maybe after a mistake.
Or just a Monday morning.
True. So he brings donuts, nice gesture. But, he ends up getting stuck in traffic. The lesson points out the difference. To be stuck is the state you're in now. To get stuck is the process of becoming stuck.
The subtle difference in timing, really. Current state versus the transition into that state adds precision.
Then, disaster 2.0, while trying to pass out or hand out the donuts, distribute them, he tripped, caught his foot on something.
Yeah.
And yes, Spilled coffee. Again.
Oh, Bob.
I know. And we get tripped versus slipped, sliding on something slippery, and regain my balance. Good functional language there.
Definitely. Knowing tripped versus slipped paints a clearer picture of how he fell. Precision again.
The boss's reaction this time. Half amused. Perfect description for that mixed feeling. Kind of funny, kind of annoying.
Yeah, like you're not sure whether to laugh or sigh. It connects to I'm half joking to partly serious, partly not.
So even from Bob's terrible morning, look at all this language.
Absolutely. Just to recap some of those gems. Misadventure, landed a job, all those words for thrilled. The disaster synonyms like train wreck, spilled in its different forms, stern, determined to make up for it or make it up to you, drop the ball, throw in the towel, versus stick with it, volunteered, fresh start, getting stuck in traffic, pass out or hand out, tripped, slipped, regained balance, and half amused. Great stuff.
Okay, on to story 2. The unexpected gift. Starts with a package that just showed up at Tom's office. Showed up, phrasal verb. Arrive, appear, often unexpectedly.
Yeah, often unexpectedly, or maybe after you've been waiting. It feels a bit more informal than just arrived. Maybe implies a little surprise or anticipation sometime.
Makes sense. So everyone gathered around, came together to look while Tom ripped open the box. Rip open. More forceful than just rip.
Yeah, rip open suggests doing it quickly, maybe forcefully, especially with packaging. You're tearing into it with enthusiasm or maybe impatience. That open adds dynamism.
Inside. Something weird. A flamingo statue, I think. Tom was totally baffled, confused.
I'm completely confused. And the lesson notes it's often passive. I was baffled. The thing causes the confusion.
Right, but you can say the instructions baffled me. It works actively, too.
You can, absolutely.
Yeah.
The passive just emphasizes the state of being confused.
So Tom's trying to figure it out, trying to wrap his head around it. Brilliant idiom. Understanding something difficult.
It really is. Like you're mentally wrestling with a complex idea, trying to grasp it fully. The example about English articles.
Yeah.
Relatable for many learners.
Definitely. Meanwhile, his coworker Lisa smirked, that little self-satisfied, maybe slightly smug smile.
That's a smirk. And she suggests maybe it's a hint he needs a break. We get the noun a hint, small clue, and the verb hinted, good pair. Seeing those connections between word forms is always helpful, builds vocabulary faster.
Tom's still puzzled, another word for confused, similar to baffled until Lisa sees the label and gasped. That sharp intake of breath, right? Surprise, shock.
Could be either, or even delight. The context tells you if it's a good gasp or a bad gasp. It's that sudden breath reaction.
Her reaction, uh-oh, you're in for it now, meaning trouble's coming.
Yep, you're going to face unpleasant consequences. You're in trouble.
Which immediately made Tom's heart sink. That feeling of sudden dread or disappointment, so descriptive.
These idiomatic expressions for feelings are so powerful, aren't they? They convey emotion much more vividly than just saying, I felt bad.
Totally. So, nervously, Tom tentatively, hesitantly, uncertainly goes to the boss's office to get to the bottom of it. Find the real reasons, solve the mystery.
Get to the bottom of something. Great phrase. It implies digging deep to find the root cause, the truth.
The boss denies sending it, says, I wish I could take credit for it. Take credit for, claim responsibility or recognition for something good.
Usually something good, yes. You wouldn't typically take credit for a mistake, unless maybe you're being sarcastic or owning up dramatically.
Right. Turns out the flamingo was from a Secret Santa thing Tom had signed up for, registered for, agreed to do ages ago, and forgotten.
The classic forgotten Secret Santa.
Relief. He goes back, sees the flamingo, and figures it looks like it's here to stay, meaning it's permanent or at least sticking around for a long time.
Another useful idiom for something that's become established.
Okay, another great set of vocabulary there.
Definitely. Let's list them. Showed up, gathered around, rip open, baffled, wrap one's head around, smirk, a hint or hinted, puzzled, gasp, be in for it, heart sank, tentatively, get to the bottom of, take credit for, sign up for, and here to stay. Really practical stuff.
Story 3 takes us to a cafe. Emily and Jake are having their usual Friday afternoon catch-up. Okay, catch-up used like that.
Yeah.
It's a bit playful, right, for a catch-up conversation.
It is. It's informal, maybe a bit quirky. The lesson rightly notes the verb to catch up is way more common, but it shows how language can be, well, flexible and creative between friends.
Language evolving right there. Yeah. So the atmosphere is filled with a mix of excitement and uncertainty, filled with containing a lot of something, a mix of X and Y, a blend. Good scene-setting phrases.
They are. They help create the mood, the feeling of the situation for the listener.
Emily starts with, "You won't believe what happened." Jake looked intrigued. Curious, fascinated. We also get to be intrigued, to seem intrigued.
Yeah, different ways to express that curiosity.
And Jay's reply. The classic, casual, "what's up?" Such a workhorse phrase. What's happening? What's wrong? What do you want?
Context is everything with what's up.
Yeah.
Tone of voice, situation. That tells you if it's a general greeting or asking about a specific problem or piece of news.
Emily reveals she got a job offer completely out of the blue, unexpectedly, no warning.
Just appeared suddenly.
Jake's first reaction. So what's the catch? The hidden downside? The problem. Why do we ask what's the catch so often?
I think it reflects a bit of healthy skepticism, doesn't it? If something seems too good to be true, we often suspect there's a hidden drawback. Asking the question is probing for that.
Makes sense. The job is with a startup that's just getting off the ground, just starting, trying to become successful.
Right. And the lesson throws in that statistic, only maybe 10% succeed, which adds weight to the risk Emily's considering, a startup being a new, young company.
That stat really grounds the dilemma. So Emily's hesitant. Her voice is tinged with doubt, tinged with having just a little bit of an emotion or quality.
It's just a subtle amount, yeah, like a color lightly mixed in.
Jake encourages her, says taking a leap of faith, a risk based on trust or belief, not certainty, is scary, especially when things aren't set in stone, not fixed, changeable.
Acknowledging the uncertainty.
But he says it could be a golden opportunity, a fantastic chance. He's being supportive.
He is, and he's using language that weighs risk, leap of faith not set in stone, against potential reward. Golden opportunity. It's a common way we talk through decisions.
Emily worries, though, about biting off more than she can chew, taking on too much responsibility. And what if it doesn't pan out, doesn't succeed or develop well?
These are very real anxieties. Bite off more than you can chew is such a great image for being overwhelmed. And pan out often implies success, so doesn't pan out means it fails or doesn't work as hoped.
Jake reassures her, okay, no guarantees, but if it doesn't pan out, you'll bounce back, recover quickly.
That's a comforting thought, isn't it? Resilience.
Yeah. And he points out, if she stays put, she might miss out on something incredible, lose the chance for something amazing. We get reminded, incredible has synonyms like amazing, fantastic.
And Jake's enthusiasm is described as infectious, spreading to others, making them feel it too.
That's a great description for positive energy. So Emily sighed, feeling lighter, like a weight lifted. She says she was on the fence, undecided, but talking helped.
On the fence. Another useful idiom for indecision, stuck between two options.
And she decides, I'm going to go for it. Take the risk, try it. Admits it's a gamble, risky, uncertain outcome.
But Jake approves. That's the spirit. Encouraging her positive attitude.
And he finishes with, I've always got your back. I'll support you. What a mate.
A really nice exchange, full of supportive language and common idioms for discussing choices and risks.
Okay, let's quickly list those. Catch up for catch up, filled with, intrigued, what's up, out of the blue, the catch, getting off the ground, startup, tinged with, a leap of faith, set in stone, golden opportunity, bite off more than one can chew, pan out, bounce back, miss out on, incredible, infectious, feel lighter, on the fence, go for it, a gamble, that's the spirit, and got your back. Whew.
A powerhouse list for talking about life decisions.
Right. Okay, final story. This one's sweet, called Stella the Star. Apparently written by Siri, which is fun. The host says they came across the story, found it by chance.
Came across another good phrasal verb for finding something unexpectedly. Serendipity.
The story's about Stella, a little star among all the others part of the group. Prepositions like among are small but mighty.
They really are. They define relationships between things in space, time, or logic. Crucial little words.
Nobody ever made a wish upon her. The lesson notes upon can be more formal or poetic than on.
Generally true, though it has specific uses too, like upon arrival, meaning when you arrive. But here, wish upon a star has that classic, slightly formal storybook feel.
Right. In fact, the story emphasizes nobody even noticed her.
Yeah.
In fact, we've seen it before, used for emphasis.
It is. Good transition word to underscore or strengthen a point.
Compared to the other big stars, Stella was barely a speck being tiny like a speck of dust. Great visual.
Very effective imagery. Makes her smallness clear.
But she had just as much luck, the noun, to give. We get lucky, adjective, and phrases like have bad luck, unlucky. Good to see the word family.
Seeing how words change, form noun, adjective, etc. really boosts your working vocabulary.
Then this lovely line, being there for someone is what gives stars their inner glow. That first part, being there for someone, is a gerund phrase acting as the subject. A bit more complex grammar.
It is. But understanding structures like that helps you process and create more sophisticated sentences yourself.
Stella wishes she was like Sirius, whom people always turn to for advice. Turn to someone for advice. Seek their guidance.
Yes. And the lesson touches on whom versus who. Whom is technically correct as the object here, but
people often just say who in conversation.
yeah, we often, yes.
Yeah.
It's one of those areas where common usage is often simpler than the formal grammar rule. Good to be aware of both.
Stella's wishes to be noticed never came true. The lesson says that sounds more natural for wishes than never worked.
It does. Wishes come true. It's a strong collocation words that naturally go together.
Then she got an idea, or had an idea, both common. What if she wished upon people? Stars and people made of the same stuff. Stuff being uncountable, general things, unlike countable things.
Right, you have some stuff, but three things. That distinction trips learners up sometimes.
And the story connects us to people being rock stars or film stars, leading to that great expression, you're a rock star, meaning you're awesome, you did great.
Such a common and enthusiastic compliment. We should all use it more. You listening. You're a rock star for sticking with this.
Absolutely. We also see all the billions versus all of the billions. Subtle difference, maybe slightly more formal with of.
Perhaps slightly, but honestly, all the billions is perfectly fine and very common.
Stella decides to wish upon anyone feeling small and unseen, invisible, hoping they feel that inner glow, knowing they're not alone. And we get the compliment, you're glowing, for someone looking radiantly happy.
Lovely connection there, that inner feeling showing on the outside.
The story is described as heartwarming and touching, evoking positive emotions. A really nice end.
A lovely story, and more great vocabulary came across. Among wish upon, in fact, again, compared to spec, lucky, turn to for advice, who came true, got that an idea, stuff things, the rock star idiom, unseen, inner glow, and heartwarming touching.
Wow. Okay, that was quite the deep dive. We have covered so much vocabulary today. I really hope you're feeling like you've picked up some really useful tools for your English.
The range was incredible, wasn't it? From workplace mishaps to heartfelt wishes. Seeing the words used in these different contexts really helps, I think. Makes them less abstract.
Definitely. So take a second now. Think back. Which words or phrases gave you that little aha moment? How could you start, maybe slipping one or two into your conversations this week?
Yeah, don't just listen. Try to use them. Pick one or two that you liked and consciously try them out. That's how they really become part of your English.
And maybe a final thought to chew on. How does understanding these sort of finer points of vocabulary, these nuances, how does that change how you connect with people? Does it open up richer conversations, maybe a deeper understanding?
That's a great question. Being able to express yourself more precisely and pick up on the subtleties in what others say, it absolutely can lead to deeper connections, less misunderstanding. It enriches communication.
Well, thank you so much for joining us on this exploration, this deep dive into English vocabulary. We really enjoyed it.
We did, and we're already looking forward to the next one.
Hey there, fellow bookworms. Ready to level up your reading game? Today we're going deep, way past just finishing a book.
Yeah, think Reading Ninja. This is your secret decoder ring for unlocking those hidden layers of meaning in anything you read.
And our guide. This awesome piece, 7 tips to improve your reading at an advanced level. Practical advice, not just theory.
Totally. And it uses some really cool examples like switching between Great Gatsby and Marcus Aurelius's Meditations, to really stretch those reading muscles.
I love that, reading against the grain. It's so easy to stay in our comfort zones. What about you? What do you usually gravitate towards? What would be a surprising genre for you?
Oh, good question. I tend to lean towards nonfiction, history, biographies, that kind of thing. But to shake things up, maybe a graphic novel. Or poetry. I don't read a ton of poetry.
I get that. I love a good mystery, but I've been meaning to try more sci-fi, see what's out there. Which brings us to tip number 1, diversify your reading diet. The source is all about exploring different genres, styles, and topics.
Makes sense, right? Like food. You don't want to eat the same thing every day. You miss out on all those flavors and nutrients. Same with reading. Each genre has its own strengths, its own way of seeing the world.
Exactly. And they even suggest this cool activity. Read a news article on climate change, then read a poem on the same topic. See how different forms of writing can change your understanding.
That's such a good idea. The news article gives you the facts, right? But the poem might explore the emotional side, the impact on people. Two totally different angles, but both important for understanding the whole picture.
Totally. Tip number 2 is all about active reading, something I'm always working on. It's about engaging with the text, not just skimming.
Yeah, that's where the magic happens. Active reading is like having a conversation with the author, asking questions, pushing back, making those connections in your own mind.
The source talks about the SQ3R method. Can you break that down for us? Why is it so helpful, especially with really complex texts?
I see SQ3R as a brain hack for better reading. It stands for survey, question, read, recite, review. Especially with dense stuff, it makes you slow down and engage on different levels. Like if you're reading the Federalist Papers, before diving in, you'd survey the structure, maybe skim headings or topic sentences.
So kind of setting the stage, getting an overview.
Exactly. Then you come up with questions based on what you see. What are the main points? What arguments is the author making? Now you're actively searching for answers as you read.
It's like a detective game.
Yes. Then the read phase, where you actively look for those answers.
Wait.
Next, you recite or summarize what you read in your own words. This helps solidify your understanding. And finally, review to make sure you remember the key points.
Intense, but it sounds super effective, especially for those brain bender books.
A mental workout, but a good one.
Okay, tip number 3 always gets me excited. Expanding our vocabulary. They suggest keeping a vocabulary journal, which sounds fun.
Like building your arsenal of words.
But what about those words that just completely stump you, like singularity in Stephen Hawking's A Brief History of Time? I remember just staring at that one, completely lost.
I know that feeling. You've got to become a word detective. Context is everything. You can often figure out the meaning using root words, prefixes, suffixes, break it down into smaller parts.
Like solving a puzzle. And once you crack the code, that word unlocks a whole new level of understanding. I had that with epistemology in a philosophy book. I finally broke it down. Episteme meaning knowledge and logos meaning study. Boom, the study of knowledge.
It's the best feeling. And those aha moments build on each other. Every new word opens up more understanding. You can tackle even more complex stuff.
Brain leveling up. Tip number 4 is where it gets interesting. Author's craft. Understanding the why behind an author's choices.
It's like peeking behind the curtain, seeing the magician's secrets.
Totally. They use 1984 as an example how Orwell creates that feeling of oppression through his writing. What are some clues we can look for to get an author's purpose?
Oh, so many. Tone, imagery, sentence structure, rhetorical devices, they all add up. Like, think about it. A short, choppy sentence creates urgency, tension, right? But a long, flowing one might feel more thoughtful.
Like composing music with words, using different instruments to create different effects.
Great analogy. And you, as the reader, start to pick up on those little cues. You see how everything plays a role. Word choice, pacing, even punctuation.
Like learning a secret language. They suggest analyzing a paragraph from Virginia Woolf's To the Lighthouse to really examine the sentence structure. I challenge you, try that with anything you're reading. Pick a passage and dissect it. It's amazing what you find.
I agree. Ask yourself, what choices are they making and why? You'll see patterns, appreciate the craft even more.
Okay, tip number 5 gets into summarizing and critical thinking. Essential skills for any advanced reader. I'll admit, sometimes I just want to get lost in the story, but slowing down to analyze is crucial too.
It's like the difference between watching a movie passively versus really engaging with it. When you summarize, you got to boil things down to the essence, really understand the main points. Critical thinking is about questioning assumptions, looking at different perspectives, and evaluating the evidence.
They talk about summarizing an article on AI, which is constantly changing. Imagine trying to sum up all those complex ideas.
It's a challenge.
Yeah.
But so valuable. Critical thinking is even more important now. We're bombarded with information from everywhere. You got to be able to tell fact from opinion, bias from objectivity.
It's about being a smart consumer of information, not just believing everything you read.
Exactly. And a great way to practice those skills is joining a book club or discussion group.
Have you ever read Thoreau's Civil Disobedience? Talk about sparking debate. Those ideas about individual conscience versus the state are still so relevant. Imagine discussing that in a book club. Things could get heated in a good way.
I'd love to be a fly on the wall for that one. A book club is like having your own team of experts to bounce ideas off of. You hear different interpretations, challenge your own assumptions. You might discover things you missed on your own.
It's like having multiple lenses to view the same material. Plus, you might find new authors or genres you wouldn't have tried otherwise. And it's just fun to geek out with other book lovers.
Totally. It's a built-in support system for your reading journey.
Speaking of support, ready for tip number 6. This one might surprise you. Reading aloud.
I know, right? It sounds a bit counterintuitive, but trust me, there are benefits, especially for complex texts.
They even suggest trying it with Shakespearean sonnets. To appreciate the rhythm and flow, like adding another dimension to the words.
It is. It forces you to slow down, enunciate clearly, savor the language. Especially helpful with poetry, but even with prose it makes a difference. Imagine tackling a dense philosophical argument out loud. It becomes so much clearer.
Okay, I'm starting to get it. It's like using more of your senses to engage with the material.
Exactly. And remember, we learned language through sound first. Reading aloud taps into that. Plus, think about when we were kids reading aloud together. We learned so much that way.
I loved those read-alouds in school. And the source even says, record yourself reading aloud and listen back.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
It might feel awkward, but it's a fantastic way to see where you stumble, work on pronunciation, improve fluency, like your own personal coach.
I'm adding that to my toolkit. Okay, our final tip. Goal setting. I'm all about goals, but sometimes I'm not sure where to start, especially with something as broad as reading.
I get that. The source uses War and Peace as an example, which is a big one. But they have a great point. Break down big goals into smaller chunks.
So instead of I'm going to read War and Peace, it's I'm going to read 50 pages a week.
Exactly. It feels much less scary.
Yeah.
And you get that sense of accomplishment as you hit those smaller milestones.
And there are great tools to help you track your progress. I love Goodreads. It's so motivating to see what you've read, find new books, share your thoughts.
It's a great community for book lovers.
Yeah.
And speaking of community, they mentioned book clubs again. There's nothing like connecting with other readers and really diving deep together.
It's like a cheering squad for your reading journey. So we've covered a lot. Diversifying our reading, active reading, vocabulary, author's craft, summarizing, reading aloud, and goal setting. It's been quite the exploration of becoming a more advanced reader.
It has. And I hope our listeners feel inspired to take their reading to that next level.
Me too. You know, as we wrap up this part, it makes me think about the power of reading. It's not just about knowledge. It's about understanding the world and ourselves better.
That's beautifully put. It's about empathy, critical thinking, opening ourselves up to new perspectives and possibilities.
Exactly. And it's a journey that never really ends. There's always something new to discover, a new connection to make.
And with the right tools and techniques, we can keep growing as readers our whole lives.
I love that. So, as we wrap up this segment of our deep dive, I want to leave you with a thought. What's one book or article you've always wanted to read, but felt intimidated by?
What's that one that's been sitting on your shelf, whispering promises of adventure?
Maybe it's a classic, a dense philosophical work, or something scientific that's always intrigued you. Now is the time to embrace the challenge.
Use the tips we've discussed and approach it with confidence, curiosity, a sense of adventure. You might be surprised.
Now, before we move on to part 2, we want to hear from you. What's one aha moment you've had while reading? Share your stories, your insights, your favorite reading techniques. We'll be back soon with more on how to level up your reading game.
That reminds me of when I was wrestling with this really dense philosophy book, and I was just stuck. I tried recording myself reading it aloud just to see, and honestly,
What happened?
it was like someone else was reading. I picked up on all these things I totally missed before.
It's amazing how just changing how you interact with the text can do that. Like unlock it. Speaking of unlocking, tip number 6 is all about reading aloud.
Yeah, I know, right? Sounds a bit old school.
Yeah, like elementary school. But the source makes a good case for it, especially for becoming more advanced readers.
Essentially.
They even suggest reading Shakespeare out loud, like those sonnets,
Oh, yeah.
to get the rhythm and flow. What's the idea there?
When you read silently, don't you think you kind of skim? Your mind races ahead.
Oh, for sure.
But reading aloud, you got to slow down. Enunciate every word. Really savor the language. Like it adds this whole other dimension.
Almost like performing it, bringing it to life. So you pick up on those subtle things you might miss otherwise.
Exactly. And it's not just poetry. Think about a tough philosophical argument or even a legal document. Reading it aloud can make it so much clearer.
Okay, I see what you're saying. It's like using more of your senses to really engage with it, which helps you remember it better too.
Right. And we learn language through hearing first, don't we?
Yeah.
So reading aloud kind of taps into that. Plus, it's like when we were kids reading aloud together.
Yeah.
Remember how much we absorbed?
I do. Those were great. And the source even says to try recording yourself reading aloud and listening back.
I know it sounds a little weird.
Yeah, but it could be really helpful.
Absolutely. You can hear where you trip up work on pronunciation, get more fluent overall. It's like having your own personal coach.
I gotta try that. Okay, last tip from the source. Goal setting. I'm a huge believer in goals, but I'm not always sure where to begin with reading. It can feel so overwhelming.
I understand that. They use War and Peace as an example, which, yeah.
That's a big one, intimidating. But their point is, break it down.
Exactly. So instead of I'm going to read War and Peace, maybe it's I'm going to read 50 pages a week.
Right. Way less daunting.
And you get that feeling of accomplishment as you hit those smaller goals.
Which keeps you motivated. And there are great tools to help, like Goodreads. I love that. Seeing your progress, finding new books, sharing your thoughts.
It's such a great community for book lovers. And that brings us back to community in general, right?
Yeah. Book clubs, online groups, even just friends you swap books with. It makes a difference.
Totally. Having other readers around you, it's like a support system.
A cheering squad for your reading.
I like that. And with all this talk about tips and goals, it's important to remember, reading should be fun.
Oh, absolutely.
We can get so caught up in improving that we forget to enjoy a good book.
So true. It shouldn't feel like work.
It's like anything else. You got to find that sweet spot between challenge and pleasure.
All right. We've done a deep dive on these 7 tips, but before we go, I want to ask you, the listener, what really stuck with you?
Was there one that was like, aha, that's it?
Or maybe a challenge you're ready to tackle now?
I want to hear your thoughts. Reading is a journey, and the best ones are shared.
So let's keep talking. What are your favorite ways to level up your reading game? We'll be back with more soon. So we've been talking about all these great tips for becoming better readers. But sometimes, even with the best techniques, you just hit a wall.
For sure.
You get those books, those articles, even just certain paragraphs, and you're like, ugh, this is a struggle.
Yeah.
And it can be so discouraging. You're excited to read something new, and then it just doesn't click. What do you do when you run into that, when you're just not connecting?
Well, first you got to remember, it's okay. It's normal to struggle with certain things.
Right.
It doesn't mean you're a bad reader or that the writing is bad. Sometimes it's just not a good fit for you.
I like that, giving yourself permission to not love everything.
Exactly. Once you accept that, you can look at those tougher texts with more, maybe a little kindness towards yourself and curiosity.
So instead of getting frustrated, you ask, okay, what's making this hard for me?
Yeah. Is it the vocabulary, the sentences, the topic itself?
Right.
And once you figure out what it is, you can start to find ways to deal with it. Vocabulary. Maybe you grab the dictionary or look for clues in the surrounding words. Tricky sentences. Break them down into smaller parts. Or read them aloud. See if the rhythm helps.
You're like a reading detective, using your tools to crack the case.
I love that. And sometimes the best thing is to just walk away for a bit.
Oh, yeah.
Go for a walk, listen to music, do something completely different. Come back with fresh eyes.
That distance can really help. It's like with a painting, you step back to see the whole picture.
Exactly. And honestly, remember that reading should be fun. If you're always fighting with it, feeling frustrated, maybe it's time to try something else.
I agree. A different genre, a new author, or even an old favorite that always makes you happy. There's so many amazing books out there. There's something for everyone.
For sure. The important thing is to find what you're curious about, what sparks your imagination.
As we wrap up this whole deep dive into reading, it keeps coming back to this.
Yeah.
It's so personal.
It really is.
We can learn techniques, we can get better at it, but at the end of the day, it's that connection you make with what you're reading.
It's like connecting with another mind, even if they lived centuries ago, exploring new worlds, understanding ourselves and the universe better.
A journey of discovery. And like all good journeys, the best thing is to go with curiosity, a sense of wonder, and be open to getting a little lost along the way.
Keep exploring, keep asking questions, and never lose that sense of wonder. That's the magic of reading.
That's all for this episode of The Deep Dive. We hope you found some inspiration to level up your reading game. Until next time, happy reading.
Hey everyone, welcome back. Ready to unlock some of the secrets of fluent English.
I think we all know that feeling. Like you understand the individual words, but something's missing.
It's like everyone else is in on a joke and you're left out.
Exactly. And that's where idioms come in, right? They're like these little cultural puzzles that can really trip you up.
And today, we're going deep into the world of idioms, tackling a list of 21 that are key to taking your English from intermediate to advanced, really sounding more natural and fluent.
And idioms aren't just about sounding good, are they? They often give us a glimpse into the history and the culture of a language.
Oh, absolutely. So we'll be unpacking not just what these idioms mean, but also where they come from and how to use them effectively in different situations.
And maybe even a few funny stories along the way. So are you ready to dive in?
Absolutely. Let's get started with our first idiom, a blessing in disguise. Have you ever experienced something that seemed bad at first, but turned out to be a good thing in the end?
I think we all have. It's like that feeling when you miss a flight and then you find out it got delayed for hours anyway.
Exactly. Or maybe you didn't get the job you really wanted, but ended up with an even better opportunity. It's those moments when we realize that things happen for a reason.
And that sometimes what we perceive as setbacks can actually lead us to something much better.
It's like the universe has a plan, right?
Right. And speaking of getting to the point, our next idiom is beat around the bush. I think we're all guilty of this sometimes, especially when we have to have a difficult conversation.
Oh, for sure. Instead of just coming out and saying what we mean, we kind of dance around the topic, hoping the other person will figure it out.
Yeah, like when you want to ask for a raise, but you start talking about how much you love your job and how dedicated you are.
Instead of just saying, hey, I think I deserve a raise.
Right. It's that awkward feeling of wanting to address something but not wanting to be too direct.
So how do we break out of that beating around the bush habit? Any tips for being more direct?
Well, I think being mindful of it is the first step, recognizing when we're doing it, and then just practicing being more straightforward, even if it feels a little uncomfortable at first.
Now picture this. You're at a party, you don't know many people, and you want to start a conversation. That's where you need to break the ice.
Oh, yes, break the ice. That's a classic one. It's all about easing that initial awkwardness, isn't it?
Exactly. It's about creating that first connection, like literally breaking through a sheet of ice to open up a pathway for conversation.
And sometimes it can be as simple as a compliment, like, I love your shoes.
Or even a simple question like, have you tried any of the appetizers yet? Anything to get the conversation flowing.
Exactly. And, sometimes humor can be a great icebreaker, too.
Oh, yeah. A well-timed joke can definitely lighten the mood.
It's all about finding that common ground, that shared moment of laughter.
Now, let's talk about something that can cost an arm and a leg. It's when something is just ridiculously expensive.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Like, have you seen the prices of concert tickets these days?
Oh my gosh, they're insane.
It's like they want you to give up a limb just to see your favorite band.
It's that feeling of, it's really worth that much.
Right? But sometimes you just gotta splurge,
But let's talk about those satisfying moments when you get something exactly right, like when you hit the nail on the head.
Ah, yes, it's that feeling of nailing it, isn't it? Like when you perfectly describe a situation or you figure out the root cause of a problem.
With like that aha moment. And it likely comes from, actually hammering a nail and getting it perfectly straight.
Right. And it's such a satisfying feeling, whether you're talking about solving a problem or just understanding a concept.
So have you ever hit the nail on the head with something recently?
Let me think. Oh, actually, just the other day, a friend was describing a situation they were going through, and I was able to offer some advice that really resonated with them. They said, I hit the nail on the head.
It's like you were able to see the situation clearly and offer the perfect solution.
Exactly. It felt good to be able to help.
Now, switching gears a bit, have you ever been feeling under the weather?
Ooh, I think we all know that feeling. It's that kind of blah feeling when you're just not quite yourself.
Right, like maybe you have a slight cold or just feel a bit run down.
And no one wants to hear all your symptoms.
Exactly. Under the weather is a much gentler way to say, I'm not feeling great.
And I've always wondered where that one came from.
Me too. I've heard it might be related to sailors feeling seasick when the weather was rough.
Oh, that makes sense. Like the weather is literally affecting how you feel.
Now be careful not to let the cat out of the bag.
Oops. That's when you accidentally reveal a secret, isn't it?
Exactly. Like if you're planning a surprise party and someone spills the beans to the guest of honor.
I've always loved the imagery with that one. Like imagine a cat jumping out of a bag and everyone's surprised.
It's such a vivid way to describe that moment of, oh no, I shouldn't have said that.
And it happens to the best of us.
So how do we avoid those cat out of the bag situations? Any tips for keeping secrets safe?
I think sometimes it's better not to know the secret at all if you're someone who tends to blurt things out.
That's a great point. If you don't know, you can't accidentally reveal it.
Exactly. Or, just be extra careful about who you talk to and what you say.
But sometimes you just have to accept that the ball is in your court.
Ah, yes, that's when it's someone else's turn to make a decision or take action.
It's like passing the baton in a relay race.
Exactly. You've done your part, and now it's up to them to decide what to do next.
It's often used in negotiations or discussions, right?
Yes, like when you've presented your offer and you're waiting for the other person to respond.
And sometimes, to get things done, you just have to burn the midnight oil.
Yeah, that's a good one. It means staying up late, working, usually on a project or deadline.
Back in the day, it literally meant working by the light of an oil lamp.
Right. But nowadays, it's more about that feeling of burning the candle at both ends.
But sometimes, you have to face those challenges head on, like when you have to bite the bullet,
It means doing something difficult or unpleasant, even though you don't want to.
like going to the dentist, right?
Yeah, exactly. Or having that tough conversation you've been putting off.
But on a brighter note, some things happen very rarely, like once in a blue moon.
Oh, I love this one. It's so poetic. And it actually refers to a real astronomical event, you know?
Really?
Yeah, when a second full moon occurs within the same calendar month. It doesn't actually look blue, though.
Oh, that's interesting. So it's something that happens very infrequently.
Exactly. Like winning the lottery or seeing a unicorn.
Now, let's talk about maximizing efficiency. It's like when you kill two birds with one stone.
Yes. It's about accomplishing two things with one action, isn't it?
Like if you need to go to the post office and the grocery store, and they're right next to each other, you can do both errands in one trip.
Exactly. It's all about being smart with your time and effort.
And sometimes things are surprisingly easy, like a piece of cake.
Oh, yeah. That's a great way to say something was simple and effortless.
It makes it sound almost enjoyable, right? Like it was no trouble at all.
Exactly. Like, that exam was a piece of cake.
But be careful not to put all your eggs in one basket.
Oh, yes. That's a good reminder. It's about diversification, isn't it? Not putting all your hopes or resources into one thing.
Exactly. It's like spreading your risk so if one thing doesn't work out, you have others to fall back on.
Right. Like, don't invest all your money in one stock. Or don't rely on just one person for your happiness.
Speaking of revealing secrets, sometimes you accidentally spill the beans.
Oops. That's like letting the cat out of the bag. Right. But maybe a bit more unintentional.
Right. It's like you just blurt something out without thinking.
And it can be so embarrassing.
It is. Especially if it's a secret that you're supposed to keep.
Oh, for sure. But sometimes it's just a funny slip up.
But it's always important to consider different perspectives and not take everything at face value. That's when you take something with a grain of salt.
Yeah, it means being a little skeptical, doesn't it? Not believing everything you hear.
Especially in today's world, with so much information flying around, it's crucial to be discerning, to question things.
Right. Not everything is as it seems.
So how do you decide what to take with a grain of salt? What are some red flags?
That's a good question. I think it's about looking at the source of the information, you know. Is it a reliable source?
And sometimes, no matter how hard you try, you just have to throw in the towel.
Yeah, that's when you admit defeat, isn't it? You realize it's time to give up.
It's like knowing when to walk away from a fight.
Right. It's not always easy, but sometimes it's the best thing to do.
And have you ever felt like you were barking up the wrong tree?
Oh, definitely. It's when you're pursuing a path or a solution that's just not going to work.
You're putting in all this effort, but you're headed in the wrong direction.
It's like you're lost in the woods and you keep going deeper and deeper, but you're not getting any closer to your destination.
Exactly. And sometimes it takes a while to realize that you're on the wrong track.
It does, but it's important to be able to recognize those dead ends and be willing to change course.
So how do you know when it's time to stop barking up the wrong tree and try a different approach?
I think it's about paying attention to the signs. You know, if you're not making any progress, if you keep hitting roadblocks, it might be time to step back and reassess your strategy.
That's great advice. Now, wouldn't it be amazing to always have the best of both worlds?
That is the dream, isn't it? It's like having your cake and eating it too.
Exactly. It's about finding that perfect balance, that ideal situation where you get the advantages of two seemingly opposite things.
Like imagine working from home, but still having that sense of community and collaboration that comes from being in an office.
But sometimes you just have to throw caution to the wind and go for it.
Oh, absolutely. It's about embracing risk and spontaneity, letting go of your fears and just going for it.
It's like that feeling of freedom and excitement when you decide to do something unexpected.
Exactly. Like quitting your job to travel the world.
And finally, going above and beyond, giving it your all, that's going the extra mile.
It's about exceeding expectations, isn't it? Putting in that extra effort to make something truly special.
like staying late to help a colleague finish a project or going out of your way to make a customer happy. It's those little things that make a big difference.
And, going the extra mile doesn't always have to be about work. It can be about anything, really.
Oh, absolutely. It's about that attitude of always striving to do your best.
Exactly. And it's something that people really appreciate, whether it's in your personal or professional life.
So we've covered a lot of ground here, explored 21 essential idioms. What stands out to you so far? Any favorites?
So many great ones. I think bite the bullet is one that really resonates with me. It's a reminder that sometimes we just have to face those challenges head on, even if it's uncomfortable. What about you?
I think the best of both worlds really appeals to me. That idea of finding balance and enjoying the benefits of different perspectives.
Yeah, that's a good one. It's a reminder that we don't always have to choose one thing over another. Sometimes we can find a way to have it all.
Exactly. And that's a great note to end on for this part of our deep dive. We've only just begun to scratch the surface of these idioms, but we'll be back soon to explore even more of their nuances and applications.
Looking forward to it. I think for me, bite the bullet is one of the ones that really stands out.
Yeah, I get that. Knowing the history behind it too, like, wow.
It just highlights that kind of courage,
Right.
that we need to face things we don't really want to.
Like steeling yourself, getting ready.
Totally.
And have you ever had to bite the bullet recently?
Oh, all the time. I think we all do, right?
Yeah.
But one that comes to mind is I remember having to give a presentation to, a huge audience.
Ooh, that's tough.
Yeah. And I was so terrified, but I knew I just had to bite the bullet, get up there and do it.
And I bet once you did, it wasn't so bad.
It's always like that, right? The anticipation is worse.
The build-up. And it makes you stronger too, each time.
Oh, absolutely. And that actually makes me think of barking up the wrong tree, because sometimes you think you're, doing the right thing.
Putting in all this effort.
And then you realize, this is a dead end.
You're headed in the wrong direction.
Completely. And that happens a lot, I think, especially today with so much information.
Oh, yeah. It's overwhelming.
It really is. And so it's easy to get sidetracked.
Yeah, to go down rabbit holes.
But I think there's a lot of value in recognizing that you're doing that.
Totally.
And then you can say, okay, well, what other options do I have? How else can I approach this?
It's about being flexible, being adaptable.
Yeah, and I think that leads us nicely to the best of both worlds, because...
Ooh, the ideal.
Right. Because sometimes you do have to choose one or the other, but sometimes you can find a way to get the benefits of both.
To kind of merge them.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, having that flexibility of working remotely, but also still having that in-person connection.
Yeah, that sense of community.
Yeah.
And sometimes you just got to throw caution to the wind.
And just go for it.
Right.
I love those moments.
Those are the best, those spontaneous decisions.
Absolutely. Even if it's a little bit scary, a little bit risky.
Like quitting your job to travel the world.
Oh, yeah. That's a big one.
But so freeing. Right.
It is. And I think those are the moments that really can shape our lives.
Yeah, those leaps of faith.
For sure.
And then it's about putting in that extra effort, going the extra mile.
Yes, it's like going above and beyond.
Right, really making a difference.
Yeah, exceeding those expectations.
So have you gone the extra mile for anything lately?
I've been really focused on a project at work.
Okay.
I've been, putting in the extra hours and really trying to make sure it's the best it can be.
To make it shine.
Yeah.
So we've talked about how to use these idioms, but I think it's also interesting to think about what they reveal about the culture of English speakers.
What do you think?
Well, I think one theme that keeps coming up is hard work, perseverance.
Yeah, I see that. Like, bite the bullet, burn the midnight oil. It's like you push through those challenges.
You don't give up.
Exactly.
You get it done.
And then you also have throw caution to the wind, which is more about that kind of risk-taking spirit.
Yeah, that adventurous side.
So it's interesting. It's like there's that balance.
Of both.
Yeah, you work hard, but you're not afraid to try new things and take a chance.
And the best of both worlds speaks to that, that balance, compromise.
Yeah, like finding the middle ground.
Yeah.
Trying to see things from different perspectives.
And take it with a grain of salt, which is kind of like, don't believe everything you hear, right?
Question things.
Be a critical thinker.
Yeah.
So as we wrap up this part of our deep dive, what would you say are some key takeaways for our listeners?
I think don't be afraid to start using these idioms. The more you use them, the more natural they'll feel.
Practice makes perfect.
Absolutely.
And I think it's important to remember that idioms are more than just words. They're really a window into the culture.
Yeah, they tell us something about the values and the beliefs of the people who use them.
So pay attention to how people use them in different contexts, and you'll start to pick up on those nuances.
Yeah, you'll gain a deeper understanding, not just of the language, but of the culture as well.
Yeah, it really is fascinating to see how much we can learn just from these little phrases. It's like they're little time capsules of culture. So let's talk a little bit more about that connection between language and culture.
Yeah.
Do you think the idioms we use, do they actually influence how we think?
Ooh, that's a really interesting question.
Right. It makes you wonder, like, if these phrases that we use all the time,
Yeah.
if they kind of subtly shape our perceptions of the world,
Yeah.
like spill the beans, for example, does that say something about a culture that values discretion?
Yeah.
Or does using that idiom actually reinforce that value, make us more aware of keeping secrets?
Yeah, it's like, which came first?
The chicken or the egg?
Exactly. Does language reflect culture, or does it shape it?
Or maybe a bit of both.
I think it's probably a bit of both.
Yeah.
You know, it's this kind of back and forth
Yeah.
between the words we use and how we see the world.
And that makes me think about throw caution to the wind, too.
Yeah.
Does that reflect a culture that's maybe more prone to taking risks?
Yeah, or does it encourage us to be more adventurous, you know?
Right. To embrace those leaps of faith and the best of both worlds.
Yeah.
Does that suggest that we like balance, compromise? Or does it actually encourage us to seek out those win-win situations?
Yeah. It's really fascinating to think about.
It's like language is this tool that can both reflect and influence our values and beliefs.
Exactly. And I think that's what makes learning idioms, you know, so much fun. Yeah. It's not just about the words themselves. It's about what they tell us about the culture and about ourselves, really.
So as we wrap up our deep dive into these 21 essential idioms, what would you say is your biggest takeaway for our listeners?
Don't just memorize them, experience them.
Ooh, I love that.
You know, listen for them when you hear people talking, when you watch movies, when you listen to music.
See how they're using them in real life.
Exactly. And try using them yourself. You know, the more you use them.
The more natural they'll feel.
Absolutely.
And it's like anything else you're learning. The more you immerse yourself, the more it becomes part of you. And the more you explore language, the more you appreciate its beauty and its power.
It's true. Language it's a gift.
It is.
You know, it's a way to connect with other people and to understand different cultures.
To build bridges.
Exactly. And idioms are like little gems.
They are.
That add so much richness to our communication.
So keep exploring, keep discovering, and keep diving deep into the world of words.
Yes.
Who knows what treasures you'll uncover.
Happy exploring. And until next time, may your conversations be filled with colorful idioms and insightful discoveries.
All right, so you want to speak English.
Yes.
Right, like with more confidence, I mean.
Yeah.
Go beyond just hello and goodbye, you know.
Yeah.
Well, today we're diving into this guide. It says, it'll unlock the secrets to sounding like a native speaker. And let me tell you, there's some seriously cool stuff in here.
I do.
Way beyond basic phrases.
Okay, so what's interesting about this guide, it challenges the traditional way of learning languages.
Oh, how so?
Well, it argues that instead of focusing only on grammar rules and vocab lists, we should be learning how to actually talk, you know?
Communicate.
Yeah, in real life situations.
Right, that makes sense. But how do you actually go about doing that? I mean, it's easy to say talk more, but what should you actually be saying?
Well, the guide says you should start with simple phrases,
Okay.
practical phrases that you'd use, you know, in everyday life. Like, think of it as building a foundation for fluency.
Okay.
And it breaks these situations into, like, categories, like
simple.
introductions, daily routine.
Ordering food, asking for directions.
Yeah.
And each category gives you a set of phrases and expressions that native speakers use all the time.
So it's like a cheat sheet
Yeah.
for like navigating real life conversations.
Exactly.
That's awesome. It takes away some of the pressure, you know, of trying to figure out what to say on the spot.
Right.
Yeah.
And what's really cool is the guide encourages you to use these phrases as a springboard
Oh, cool.
for more extended conversation.
Oh, I like that.
So let's say you're at a coffee shop, right?
Okay.
And you want to start talking to someone.
Okay.
You could start by saying, "Hi, I'm listener's name. I really like the atmosphere here."
That's so easy.
Right.
Yeah, anyone can do that.
And then you could ask a question like, Do you come here often? Or what's your favorite drink?
That's such a good example.
Right.
It's simple, but it opens the door for a more natural conversation.
Exactly.
But what about this whole...
Sounding like a native speaker thing?
Okay.
Is it really possible to, get rid of your accent?
Well, the guide, it addresses that and offers a really fun technique. Imitation.
Really?
Yeah.
What do you mean?
It suggests watching popular TV shows or movies and trying to mimic how they're talking.
Wait, so you're telling me I can improve my English by watching, Friends?
Exactly.
That's my kind of homework.
And it's not just about the words.
Oh, okay.
It's about paying attention to the intonation, rhythm, and stress patterns. These are super important for sounding natural and fluent.
Okay.
And the guide recommends this technique called shadowing.
Shadowing.
Where you listen to a short audio clip and then you repeat it, immediately try to match the speaker's pace and pronunciation.
Oh, so that's shadowing.
Yeah.
That sounds intense, but I can see how it'd be effective.
Right.
Those little nuances of pronunciation.
It is.
So it's like you're training your ears and your mouth to work together.
Exactly.
Okay, I like that.
And the guide says you should start with really short, simple phrases.
Okay.
And then gradually work up to longer sentences and dialogues.
Yeah.
Key is to be patient and consistent.
Right.
Don't worry about sounding perfect.
No, of course.
Right.
Okay, this is all starting to make sense.
Yeah.
But I have to ask about, the elephant in the room,
Okay.
vocabulary.
Okay.
I've always struggled with memorizing words,
Right.
long lists of words.
Yeah.
Is there a more strategic way to approach this?
Absolutely.
Okay, good.
The guide stresses that simply memorizing words, out of context, it isn't effective. It proposes this strategic vocabulary building.
What's that?
Okay. It focuses on learning words and phrases that are relevant to you.
Oh, okay.
Your interests, your goals. So it suggests making your own word lists based on topics you like travel or food, movies, music.
Right. Okay, that sounds way more engaging than flipping through a dictionary.
Right.
But how do you make sure you actually use these words?
Okay, so the guide recommends this technique.
Yeah.
It's called spaced repetition.
Okay.
And it involves reviewing the words at different intervals to strengthen your memory.
Oh, cool.
There's tons of apps and websites that can help with that.
That's a clever way to keep those words fresh in your mind.
Right.
So it's not just about learning new words, it's about actively using them.
Exactly. And the guide emphasizes the importance of using these words in context.
Okay.
So instead of just memorizing definitions, try to make sentences, or even short stories that use the words, this will help you, actually understand them, how they're used.
In real life.
Yeah.
That's such a practical tip.
Right.
It's one thing to know the definition, but it's another to be able to use it.
Exactly.
In a sentence.
Exactly.
Yeah, confidently.
The guide suggests finding creative ways to use new words in your daily life.
Oh, like what?
Well, you could label things around your house, write journal entries.
Okay.
Challenge yourself to think in English for a few minutes each day.
Thinking in English.
Yeah.
That sounds kind of scary, to be honest.
It might seem challenging.
Yeah.
But the guide breaks it down.
Oh.
It suggests starting with simple thoughts and descriptions,
Like what?
I'm hungry, or the sky is blue.
Oh.
As you get more comfortable, you can, increase the complexity.
I guess it's like building a muscle.
Yeah.
You wouldn't expect to lift a heavy weight on your first day at the gym.
Right.
Right?
Exactly.
Yeah, it takes time to build strength.
And consistency.
Yeah, consistency.
And the guide emphasizes that the more you expose yourself to the language, the easier it'll be to think in English. So surround yourself with English,
Books, movies, music.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And your brain will naturally start to make connections.
Oh, I'm starting to get excited about this.
Yeah.
Thinking in English thing.
It's cool.
But what about those moments when you just blank
Huh?
and you can't remember a word or a phrase?
Okay.
We've all been there.
Of course, happens to everyone, even native speakers.
Okay, good.
But the guide offers some strategies for dealing with those tip of the tongue moments.
Okay, what are they?
Well, it emphasizes staying calm and using circumlocution.
Circumlocution. What's that?
That means, describing the word
Okay.
that you're trying to say.
Oh, so instead of freezing up and saying, I don't know the word, I could try to describe it
Yeah.
using other words.
Exactly.
Like, it's the thing you used to.
Yeah.
Okay, that actually makes a lot of sense.
Right.
Yeah, it's like playing charades in your vocabulary.
And the guide says you should practice circumlocution, regularly.
Yeah.
You can play games with friends
Well, that's fun.
where you challenge each other to describe words
Oh, I like that.
without actually saying them.
Okay, we've covered a lot
Yeah.
in this first part of our deep dive, from building a foundation of practical phrases to mastering pronunciation and expanding your vocabulary.
Yeah.
What else is there?
Well, one of the most important aspects of speaking any language is confidence.
Right.
And that's where the guide's emphasis on practice comes in.
Mm-hmm.
It's not enough to just learn the words and phrases.
Right.
You need to actually use them.
Right, and that's where I think a lot of language learners get stuck.
Mm-hmm.
It's one thing to practice at home,
Yeah.
but it's another to actually go out there and talk to people.
Right.
Any tips on overcoming that fear, of making mistakes?
Well, the guide acknowledges that fear, and it gives some advice.
Okay, good.
First, it reminds us that everyone makes mistakes.
Okay.
Even native speakers.
Yeah.
It's a natural part of learning.
But how do you deal with those awkward moments when you say something wrong and people look at you like you've just spoken a foreign language?
The guide says embrace those moments
Okay.
as opportunities to learn.
Okay.
Instead of getting flustered, try to see them as a chance to clarify,
Okay.
and improve your pronunciation.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, maybe even your confidence a little.
And it also recommends finding supportive language partners or groups where you can practice.
Mm-hmm. In a safe environment.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's a great point.
Right.
Surround yourself with people who will support you.
Yes.
Speaking of support, does the guide offer any strategies for actually putting all this speaking practice into action?
It does.
It's easy to talk about it, but how do you actually make it happen?
Well, the guide gives a range of practical tips for incorporating speaking into your routine,
Oh, cool.
whether you have a partner or not. For solo practice,
Yeah.
it suggests things like recording yourself,
Oh?
describing images out loud, telling stories,
Mm-hmm.
and even having imaginary conversations.
Oh, that's interesting.
Right.
Those are great ideas. And for those who do have a language partner,
Mm-hmm.
what kind of activities does the guide recommend?
Well, the guide's packed with suggestions for interactive speaking activities.
Like what?
Like role-playing common scenarios, debating current events, discussing movies or books,
Okay.
and even playing language-based games.
Oh, that's fun.
The key is to find activities that are engaging and relevant to your interests.
This guide is like a gold mine of advice.
Yeah.
We've barely scratched the surface here of all the tips and techniques.
Yeah.
But before we dive into more specific strategies for improving your speaking,
Okay.
let's take a quick break to process all this awesome information.
Right.
We'll be back soon with more insights from this incredible guide.
Sounds good.
Welcome back to our deep dive into speaking English like you mean it. I don't know about you, but I'm feeling super inspired to put all these techniques into practice.
Yeah, it's amazing.
There's so much in here.
It really is.
Before the break, we were talking about, actually using your English and overcoming that fear of making mistakes.
Right.
But what about the technical stuff?
Like what?
Like pronunciation. I know a lot of people, they struggle with specific sounds or accents.
Yeah, that's a good point. Pronunciation is often overlooked,
Yeah.
but it's super important for being understood and sounding more natural.
Yeah.
The guide actually goes into this.
Okay, so what are some things learners should focus on?
Okay, so the guide, it breaks pronunciation into 3 core elements:
What are they?
individual sounds, word stress, and connected speech.
Okay.
It says that mastering individual sounds is like the foundation.
Okay.
For example, a lot of learners have trouble with the sound,
Oh, yeah, that one.
which doesn't exist in many languages.
No, it's hard.
Right.
It's like my tongue is doing gymnastics.
I know, right?
Yeah.
So what's the secret to getting it right? Well, the
No.
guide says to pay attention to your tongue and teeth
Okay.
and practice those sounds in isolation until they become more natural.
Oh, okay.
There's a ton of resources online
Really?
that can show you exactly how to do it.
That's so helpful. I wish I had those when I was learning.
Right.
Okay, so what about word stress?
Word stress.
Why is that so important?
Word stress can completely change the meaning of a word.
Oh, really?
Like, for example, the word present
Okay.
can be a noun or a verb,
Yeah.
right? And the stress changes depending on which one it is.
Oh, I see.
If you stress the first syllable, it means a gift.
Okay.
But if you stress the second syllable, it means to give something.
Wow, that's a big difference.
Yeah, subtle but significant.
So how do you know which syllable to stress? Are there, like, rules?
There are some patterns,
Okay.
but English pronunciation can be unpredictable.
Yeah, for sure.
The guide recommends listening to native speakers and paying attention to which syllables they emphasize.
Okay.
It also says to, like, break down words into syllables and mark the stressed syllable
Oh, that's a good idea.
as you learn new words.
Yeah, like make your own pronunciation guide.
Exact.
Yeah, I like that. So connected speech.
What's that?
This is about how words flow together
Okay.
in natural conversation. Native speakers often like blend sounds,
Oh, yeah.
drop syllables,
Oh,
link words together.
Okay.
So like, do you want to go?
yeah.
Often sounds like, do you want to go?
Yeah.
Right. So that's why it sounds like they're talking so fast.
Right. They're not just speaking fast. They're connecting the words to
Okay.
make it smoother.
I see. Yeah. Okay.
And the guide points out that understanding this is important for comprehending native speakers and sounding more natural yourself.
Okay.
It recommends listening for those patterns and practicing, through shadowing.
Shadowing again.
Yeah.
It seems like that technique's really useful
It is.
for pronunciation.
It is.
But let's move beyond pronunciation.
Right.
What about like fluency?
Fluency.
How do you get to that point where you can just speak
Okay.
without, hesitating or searching for words?
Fluency is often seen as like the holy grail of language learning.
Yeah.
This guide offers some insights.
Okay.
It says that fluency isn't about speaking perfectly
Oh, good.
or never making mistakes.
Okay, good.
It's about communicating your ideas
Yeah.
effectively and effortlessly.
It takes the pressure off.
Right.
Yeah.
But how do you get to that point of effortlessness?
Yeah. Is it just practicing a lot?
Well, practice is essential.
Yeah.
But the guide says that the type of practice is important.
Okay.
You should do activities that push you a little bit,
Okay.
but not too much.
So like the sweet spot.
Yeah, where you're challenged but not overwhelmed.
Right. Okay. I like that.
Like working out.
Yeah.
You need to challenge your muscles but not hurt yourself.
Yeah. Good analogy.
Right. And the guide encourages learners to experiment.
With different types of practice.
Exactly.
Okay. So it's all about finding what works for you.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the guide emphasizes that consistency is key. It recommends practicing every day, even just for a few minutes.
Right. A little bit goes a long way.
Right. The more you use it, the
Yeah.
more natural it'll become.
Okay. This is all starting to make sense, but I have to ask about thinking in English.
Okay.
Is it really possible? Like, can you actually switch your brain?
The guide addresses that.
Okay.
And it says that thinking in English is a skill
Okay.
that you can develop gradually over time.
Okay.
It's not about like turning off your native language.
Right.
It's about adding English to your thought process.
But how do you do that?
The guide recommends starting with simple things.
Okay.
Like describing objects around you in English or mentally practicing conversations
Oh, okay. Interesting.
before you have them.
So like train your brain
Yeah,
one thought at a time.
exactly. And the more you immerse yourself, the easier it becomes. Surround yourself with English and your brain will like naturally start to
Yeah.
process it.
That's fascinating. It's like rewiring your brain.
Yeah, it is.
What about those moments when you're speaking
Yeah.
and you completely blank? You can't remember a word.
Okay.
How do you deal with that?
The guide says, first of all, stay calm.
Don't panic.
Yeah, don't panic.
Right. Okay.
Everyone has those moments.
Okay, good.
Even native speakers.
Okay, that's reassuring. Yeah.
So the guide suggests using circumlocution.
Circumlocution. That sounds familiar.
Yeah, it means describing the word
Right. Yeah.
you're trying to say.
Okay. So like if I can't remember the word umbrella,
Yeah.
I could say the thing you use to keep the rain off your head.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's like playing charades
Yeah.
with your words.
Exactly.
But doesn't that sound awkward?
It might feel awkward,
Yeah.
but it's actually a very common strategy,
Right.
even among native speakers.
Okay, good.
And it's a great way to like expand your vocabulary
Yeah.
and learn to express yourself in different ways.
Okay, so it's turning a communication breakdown
Yeah.
into a learning opportunity.
Exactly.
Okay, I love that.
And the guide recommends practicing this regularly.
Okay.
You can even play games with friends
Yeah, that's fun.
to challenge each other.
We've covered so much
I know.
in this part, from pronunciation to fluency, vocabulary, and even confidence.
It's a lot.
But there's one crucial element of speaking English like you mean it
Okay.
that we haven't talked about yet.
Okay, what's that?
Confidence.
Ah, yes.
How do you get that? that inner assurance?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
And the guide talks about this.
Okay, good.
It says that confidence comes from a few things.
Okay, like what?
Mastering the technical stuff,
Yeah.
having good vocabulary, and most importantly, believing in yourself.
Oh, okay. So it's not just about knowing the rules.
Right.
It's about having that, like, inner belief.
Yes, that you can do it.
But how do you get that?
The guide offers some advice.
Okay, good.
It reminds us that everyone starts somewhere.
Right.
Making mistakes is normal.
Yeah.
It encourages you to set realistic goals.
Okay.
Celebrate small wins and focus on progress.
Not perfection.
Not perfection, exactly.
Yeah, that's a good reminder.
Right. It's easy to compare ourselves to others and get discouraged.
Yeah.
But focus on your own journey
Yeah.
and those small wins.
Okay, I like that.
And the guide also says, find a supportive environment,
Yeah.
whether it's a language partner, a group, or online.
Right. People who will support you.
Exactly.
That's so important
It is.
to have that support.
It is.
And the guy also says,
Yeah.
confidence, it's not a fixed thing.
Right.
It's something you can develop.
You can build it.
Okay, so anyone can become confident
Yes.
in speaking English.
Absolutely.
That's great.
And this guide gives you the tools to do that.
It's a game changer.
Yeah.
We've covered so much in this part,
So much.
from pronunciation and fluency
Yes.
to vocabulary and confidence.
It's amazing.
Before we wrap up, let's take a quick break.
Okay.
Let all this info sink in.
Yeah.
We'll be back soon with the final part of our deep dive.
Sounds good.
We'll explore even more tips
Okay.
for speaking English like you mean it. Welcome back to the final part of our deep dive into speaking English like you mean it. We've explored so much already, like pronunciation and fluency, but now I'm ready for the action,
Right. Time to put it all into practice.
Yeah, make a plan.
Exactly.
And that's where this guide is really helpful.
It is. It gives you steps you can actually take.
So where do we begin?
Well, the guide says to start by figuring out your goals.
Why am I doing this?
Yeah. What do you want to achieve? Travel. Connect with people. Get a better job.
That's a good point. Got to have a reason.
Right. Then you got to see where you're at now.
Like, what am I good at? What do I need to work on?
Exactly. Be honest with yourself.
Okay, and then what? How do I actually practice?
The guide has tons of activities.
Oh, cool. Like what?
Well, for pronunciation, it suggests tongue twisters or shattering or recording yourself.
Those are good ideas.
Right.
What if I don't have anyone to practice with?
You can still practice solo.
Really?
Yeah, it's just as effective as long as you're consistent.
Okay, cool.
You can describe images out loud, talk to yourself, even make your own podcasts.
Wow, that's creative.
Right. But if you do have someone to practice with,
Yeah.
the guide says to join groups, find a partner, or do online exchanges.
Oh, and talk to people in real life, too.
Exactly, like at a cafe or something.
Okay, but finding time to practice can be hard.
I know, but the guide has tips for staying motivated. Set realistic goals. Break things down into small steps and reward yourself.
Oh, okay, so don't be too hard on myself.
Right, and if you hit a plateau,
Yeah, what then?
revisit your goals, try new things, ask for feedback.
So it's okay to switch things up.
Yeah, and remember why you started learning.
That's a good point.
And there are tons of resources out there to help you.
Like what?
Dictionaries, apps, websites, even just surrounding yourself with English.
Books, movies, music, yeah.
Exactly. Find what you enjoy.
Okay, so we've talked about techniques, practice, resources,
Yeah.
but what about confidence?
Ah, yes, the key ingredient.
It's one thing to know the rules,
Mm.
but it's another to actually feel confident speaking.
The guide has great advice for that.
Oh, good. What does it say?
Remember, everyone makes mistakes. Perfection isn't the goal.
Right, it's about communication,
Exactly. So shift your mindset.
from fear to curiosity.
Exactly. Embrace the challenge. Have fun.
I love that. What an inspiring way to wrap things up.
Right. Speaking English isn't about being perfect.
It's about connecting with people.
Exactly.
Well, I'm feeling super motivated to go out there and practice.
Me too. Remember, embrace the journey
Yeah, enjoy the process.
and keep those conversations flowing.
That's a wrap on our deep dive. Thanks for joining us.